Okay, I have a question from Paul. And Paul, you're very lucky because my dog Sirius Black just laid down next to me. So I'll be petting his head while I answer your question. I have a question about some alternatives to some of the traditional barbell movements. Yeah, I remember reading this question, and this will be an interesting one. I am in my early 50s and have just started to lift weights. I use a landmine press instead of military press, landmine gobble squat instead of back front squat, and a trap bar instead of a barbell deadlift. I would appreciate your views on these alternatives. Well, it's tough for me to answer that, Paul, because you're new to lifting and you're using those pieces of equipment. Are you using them because you have them, or are you using them because they're easier on your joints? I don't know. I am certainly not a fan of spending that kind of money when you could have done all that for a simple 310 barbell set that you can buy over here very inexpensively at Play It Again Sports. I've always said the trap bar deadlift is fine done correctly, but I rarely see it done correctly. I see people's knees come in, they leg press it, they drop their shoulders out. If you have good technique, I'm fine with it. I would have liked to know why you went to these first. I also have another question about best methods of progressive overload for the older lifter. Would you recommend adding weight, reps, volume, or some other progression? Well, of course. I'd recommend you add appropriately reps, appropriately sets, appropriately load, and appropriate, and this is going to be tough because of the options you picked, exercise selection. That's something most people miss when you talk about progression. I have something called the movement matrix. You can see it in the article in Danjohn University called Snapacity. If you read my last book, 40 Years with a Whistle, I have it in there. I'm a big believer that your exercise choices should be progressive also. So yeah, load's the easy one. You start off with 10 pounds, you go to 15, you go to 20, 25, 30. That's the easy one. Reps, you start out with 5 reps, you slide up to 8 reps, you slide up to 12 reps. That's now too light. You go back to 5 reps. You start off with 3 sets of 5. After a while, that doesn't seem to make your body accommodate, so now you move up to 5 sets of 5. But I also think you need to have progressive exercise variation. So, if in a simple one I do with shot putters, we bench press, then we incline press, then we decline press, then we military press. When we come back to the bench press, miraculously we're stronger, and it just keeps going on. In the hinge family, you might start off with the hip thrust, the glute bridge. You move to the hip thrust. You might move to the kettlebell swing. You might move to the Olympic snatch. That is progression. So yeah, Paul, I'm a big believer in progression, but don't forget exercise selection.